If you're over 60 and the thought of decluttering your home makes you feel overwhelmed, paralyzed, or even panicked, you're not alone. I've worked with thousands of seniors, and I hear the same story over and over. I know I need to do this, but I just don't know where to start. Maybe you've been putting this off for years, telling yourself you'll deal with it someday, or perhaps a recent event, a health scare, a friend's move to assisted living, or your kids asking, what are we going to do with all this stuff? But has made this feel urgent and honestly a bit terrifying. Here's what nobody tells you. Traditional decluttering advice doesn't work for seniors because it ignores the deep emotional connections you have with your possessions after decades of life experience. But what if I told you there's a method specifically designed for people in your situation? A system that honors your memories while setting you free. Today, I'm sharing 12 game-changing decluttering rules that will transform this overwhelming task into something manageable, even therapeutic. These aren't generic tips you've heard before. These are battle-tested strategies developed specifically for seniors who want to reclaim their homes and peace of mind. Stick around, because rule number 12 will completely revolutionize how you think about letting go of your belongings forever. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete roadmap that turns decluttering from your biggest fear into your greatest liberation. We'll explore the friend test that cuts through indecision instantly, the energy audit that reveals what's truly draining you, and the revolutionary legacy question technique that makes deciding what to keep crystal clear. Plus, I'll share the powerful gratitude release ritual that transforms letting go from loss into celebration. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete step-by-step system that turns decluttering from a burden into a meaningful journey of rediscovering what matters most. Let's start with the absolute foundation of successful senior decluttering. Rule number 1, the one-room commitment. This single principle is the difference between success and the overwhelming failure that stops most people in their tracks. Here's why this is so crucial for seniors specifically. Why does this work so powerfully for people in their 60s, 70s and 80s? Because after decades of life experience, you understand the value of completion. You've learned that half-finished projects create stress, not satisfaction. When you commit to one room and see it through to total completion, something magical happens in your brain. You prove to yourself that this impossible task is actually doable. Here's how to choose your first room strategically. Don't pick the garage. That's where good intentions go to die. Don't choose the basement or attic where you've been storing things for years. Instead, select your easiest room first. This might be a guest bedroom that's been used for storage, a spare bathroom, or even your bedroom if it's not too cluttered. The goal is early success, not early exhaustion. Set a realistic timeline of 2 to 3 weeks for this room. Every single morning, spend exactly 30 minutes in that space, not more, not less. 30 minutes is long enough to make real progress, but short enough that you won't exhaust yourself physically or emotionally. You'll be absolutely amazed how quickly progress accumulates when you're consistent. But here's the psychological magic that changes everything. When you walk into your first completely organized, clutter-free room, it creates a vision of what's possible. It becomes living proof that you can do this. Rule number 2 is the 4-box system, and I've specifically adapted this classic organizing technique to work with the emotional realities that seniors face. This system removes the paralysis that stops most people from making progress and honors the fact that letting go takes time, especially when you're dealing with decades of memories. Get 4 boxes, bins, or even large bags and label them clearly. Keep, donate, sell, and this is crucial, decide later. That 4th box is your emotional safety net, and it's what makes this system work for seniors where other methods fail. You're not being forced to make permanent, irreversible decisions about everything immediately. Here's exactly how this works in practice. Pick up each item and make a quick, instinctive decision. If you immediately know you want to keep it and use it regularly, it goes in keep. If you know someone could benefit from it more than you can, donate. If it has genuine resale value and you're motivated to sell it, sell. But if you feel that familiar knot in your stomach, that uncertainty, that emotional tug of war, it goes straight into decide later with no guilt and no pressure. This prevents the emotional paralysis that stops so many seniors in their tracks. You're not abandoning your feelings or rushing important decisions. You're simply sorting efficiently while respecting your emotional process. The magic happens at the end of each 30-minute session. But here's the powerful part about that decide later box. You revisit these items in exactly 2 weeks. Not tomorrow when emotions are still fresh, but after some emotional distance. You'll be surprised how many things in that box suddenly seem less important, less emotionally charged. It's like your attachment naturally loosens when you're not under pressure. Rule number 3 might be the most emotionally important technique you'll learn today, the memory box method. This solves the biggest struggle seniors face: how to honor precious memories and maintain connection to your past without keeping absolutely everything that has sentimental value. Here's the system that has transformed thousands of lives. For each major category of sentimental items, like your children's childhood belongings, travel souvenirs, career achievements, or family heirlooms, you designate exactly one beautiful memory box. Not a huge storage container, not multiple boxes, but one special, lovely container that can sit on a shelf or in a closet where you can actually access it. The size constraint is absolutely crucial because it forces you to curate rather than simply store. Think of yourself as the curator of your own life museum. A good curator doesn't keep everything. They select the most meaningful pieces that tell the complete story. Let me give you a specific example. Take your children's school years. Instead of keeping every single art project, every report card, every school photo, you choose 5 pieces that truly capture each child's personality at different ages. Keep the report card that made you proudest, not every single one they ever brought home. Select the photos that tell their story, not every photo that was ever taken. Create a ritual around this process. Set aside an entire afternoon, make your favorite tea or coffee, put on music that makes you happy, and go through items slowly and thoughtfully. You're not just decluttering, you're curating the highlights of a life well lived. This transforms the entire process from a sense of loss to a celebration of meaning. Rule number 4 challenges conventional wisdom and might be the most emotionally liberating principle you'll discover. Give first, sell second. Most people think they should try to sell valuable items first to recoup money, but this approach creates emotional freedom that's worth far more than any dollar amount you might receive. Here's how this works and why it's so powerful for seniors specifically. Start by walking through your home and identifying items that could bring genuine joy to specific people in your life. Think beyond just family members. Consider friends, neighbors, caregivers, or even acquaintances who would truly appreciate what you're offering. That extensive cookbook collection gathering dust could absolutely delight your daughter-in-law, who's just learning to cook and loves trying new recipes. Your late husband's woodworking tools sitting unused in the garage might inspire your neighbor's grandson, who's just bought his first home. When you give with clear intention like this, you're not losing possessions. You're creating connections and ensuring your belongings continue to have meaningful stories. After you've given away items with clear, joyful recipients, then focus on selling remaining valuable items. You'll find the selling process much easier because your emotional attachment has already shifted. You're not desperately clinging to perceived value or feeling guilty about wasting money. You're simply recouping some funds from items that have served their purpose in your life. Set a firm rule for selling. If something doesn't sell within 30 days at a fair price, donate it immediately. Don't let items sit in limbo for months. The goal is freedom and peace of mind, not maximum profit. Rule number 5 is the 1-year rule, but I've adapted this common organizing principle specifically for senior living patterns and the realities of aging. This isn't the typical rigid advice you hear elsewhere. It's more nuanced and realistic for your current stage of life. Here's the basic principle. If you haven't used, worn or referenced something in the past 12 months, it becomes a strong candidate for removal from your home. But we add important senior-specific exceptions that honor your changing needs and circumstances. Seasonal items get a 2-year window because you might have missed a season due to health issues, travel, or family circumstances. That winter coat or summer gardening gear deserves more consideration than everyday items. Hobby supplies and craft materials get evaluated differently too. If a hobby still brings you theoretical joy but physical limitations now prevent participation, consider keeping a small representative collection rather than extensive supplies. The key insight here is that your needs, interests and capabilities naturally evolve as you move through your 60s, 70s and beyond. That extensive cookbook collection might not serve you anymore if you're eating more simply now or relying more on prepared foods. The formal dinnerware might be unused because your entertaining style has shifted to more casual gatherings or you're going out more than hosting. But here's the important balance. Be gentle and realistic with yourself. If keeping your grandmother's china gives you comfort and connection to family history, even though you never actually use it, that emotional value is real and valid. The rule is a guide for evaluation, not a rigid law that ignores your feelings. Apply this rule systematically during your one-room commitment phases. You'll be amazed at how clearly you can see what truly serves your current life versus what you're keeping out of habit, guilt, or outdated ideas about who you should be. The freedom that comes from surrounding yourself only with items you actually use or genuinely love is transformative. Rule number 6 revolutionizes how seniors handle one of their biggest clutter challenges: paper overwhelm. Now, the digital-first approach isn't about becoming a technology expert. It's really just about using simple tools you likely already own to eliminate the avalanche of paper that's probably taking over your home. Let's start with the most powerful decluttering tool you own, your smartphone camera. This device can replace filing cabinets, recipe boxes, and storage containers full of papers you're keeping just in case. The key is learning to use it strategically. Create simple folders on your phone with names like important docs, recipes, medical info, family memories, and reference materials. This organizational system honestly takes less than 5 minutes to set up, but will save you hours of searching and filing time. Your phone becomes a portable filing cabinet that doesn't take up physical space in your home. Here's the senior-specific magic of this approach. You can enlarge text in photos, which often makes old documents easier to read than squinting at faded originals. You can instantly share digital copies with family members who might need access to important information. Most importantly, you'll never lose critical information in a move, accident, or emergency. For physical paper files, establish a simple system. Scan or photograph essential documents. Then safely dispose of originals you no longer need to keep physically. Maintain a streamlined physical backup of only truly critical items like birth certificates, wills, and current insurance policies. The psychological relief is immediate when you eliminate those overwhelming stacks of maybe important papers that have been haunting your dining room table or spare bedroom. Rule number 7 cuts through emotional attachment and indecision with remarkable clarity: the friend test. When you're struggling to make a decision about any item, simply ask yourself, if my best friend owned this exact same item and asked for my honest advice about whether to keep it, what would I tell them? Apply this technique to sentimental items as well. If your friend had 15 similar vases inherited from their late mother, you'd gently suggest keeping the 3 most beautiful ones that they actually display and use, and finding loving homes for the rest. You'd remind them that their mother's love and memory aren't measured by the number of objects preserved, but by the joy and meaning those objects bring to daily life. The friend test is especially helpful for expensive items you rarely use. You'd tell a friend that keeping an expensive exercise machine as a clothes rack doesn't honour the money spent. Either using it regularly or letting someone else benefit from it does. You'd encourage them to be realistic about their current lifestyle rather than clinging to aspirational purchases. This technique helps you separate guilt from genuine value and reveals when you're keeping things out of obligation versus actual joy or usefulness. Most importantly, it allows you to extend the same compassion and practical wisdom to yourself that you'd naturally offer to someone you care about. Practice this technique out loud. Actually say the words, "What would I tell my friend to do with this?" The answer usually comes immediately and with surprising clarity. Rule number 8 addresses what many decluttering experts completely ignore, but is crucial for seniors: the physical limitation reality check. This isn't about giving up or accepting defeat. It's about being honest and kind to yourself about your current abilities so you can focus your precious energy on what matters most and brings you the greatest joy. Start by evaluating items based on your current physical reality, not your past abilities or hopeful future scenarios. If climbing to reach high shelves has become difficult or dangerous, don't keep items stored up there just in case you need them someday. If heavy lifting is challenging, honestly question whether you need to maintain that extensive dish collection or those large serving platters you rarely use. But here's the empowering aspect of this approach. Acknowledging current limitations allows you to focus fully on what you can enjoy and use comfortably. Instead of keeping 30 books you'll probably never read again, keep 10 favorites you're genuinely excited to revisit. Rather than maintaining a huge collection of garden tools, keep the essential ones that let you continue enjoying simple gardening pleasures safely. Consider adaptive alternatives wherever possible. Replace heavy items with lighter versions when you replace them. Choose digital options over physical when they serve the same purpose. Prioritize items that are easily accessible and don't require stretching, bending, or lifting beyond your comfort zone. This isn't about accepting less, it's about choosing better. When everything in your home is easily accessible and manageable, you actually enjoy and use more of what you own. Your home begins to support your current life rather than remind you of limitations or create daily frustrations. Rule number 9 transforms the most emotionally charged decisions with the legacy question technique. For items with deep sentimental value, family heirlooms, inherited possessions, or things connected to deceased loved ones, ask yourself, what kind of legacy do I want this item to create? This powerful question shifts your focus from loss and preservation to purpose and meaning. Consider your father's extensive tool collection sitting unused in your garage, gathering dust and taking up space you need. Those tools aren't honoring his memory or preserving his legacy. They're simply deteriorating in storage. But imagine giving them to a young person just starting their first home, or donating them to a community workshop where people learn new skills. Suddenly, your father's tools are actively helping people create and build, which probably aligns much better with why he valued them in the first place. Apply this thinking to other inherited items. Your mother's extensive book collection, mouldering in boxes in your basement, isn't preserving knowledge or honouring her love of learning, it's creating storage problems. But donating those books to a school library, community centre or literacy programme creates an ongoing legacy of education and discovery. For family heirlooms, consider the complete story rather than just preservation. Keeping great-grandmother's china packed away in boxes for someday preserves nothing meaningful. Using it for special occasions or passing it to someone who will treasure and display it creates ongoing meaning and connection. The legacy isn't the physical object, it's the love, values and family connections it represents. This technique is equally powerful for your own career memorabilia and achievements. Instead of keeping every award, certificate and professional memento, choose the pieces that tell your story best and most meaningfully. Consider donating professional materials, books or tools to schools, mentoring programs or professional organizations where they can inspire and assist the next generation. The most beautiful legacy isn't a house full of perfectly preserved objects. It's the positive impact those objects continue to have as they find new homes and purposes in the world. Rule number 10 eliminates just-in-case paralysis with the practical replacement test. For every single item you're tempted to keep just in case you need it someday, ask yourself these two crucial questions. How easily and affordably could I replace this if I actually needed it? And realistically, how likely am I to need this again based on my current lifestyle? This test is particularly powerful for items that seemed expensive or important when you first purchased them, but are now easily and affordably replaceable. That bread maker from 1995, taking up counter space? If you suddenly develop a passion for fresh homemade bread, modern bread makers are more efficient, more reliable, and surprisingly affordable. Those encyclopedia sets occupying entire bookshelves, everything is now online, more current, searchable, and accessible. Apply this logical thinking to duplicate items cluttering your home. You absolutely don't need 5 can openers, 3 coffee makers, or multiple sets of measuring cups, just in case one breaks. If your primary tool breaks, you can easily replace it. And the mental and physical space freed by not storing multiple backups is worth far more than the minor inconvenience of occasionally needing to purchase a replacement. For items that are truly difficult or impossible to replace, this test still provides valuable clarity. Your grandmother's handwritten recipe cards genuinely can't be replaced. These deserve to be kept and treasured. But those dozens of magazine recipes you cut out and never used, better tested versions of those recipes are readily available online whenever you might want them. The replacement test also reveals how dramatically your needs and interests have changed over time. That extensive camping gear seemed absolutely irreplaceable once, but be completely honest about your current likelihood of camping. Items that served a past version of yourself might not deserve valuable space in your present life. The goal isn't to own nothing or to become completely minimalist. It's to own thoughtfully and intentionally, keeping what truly serves your current life while trusting your ability to acquire what you genuinely need in the future. Rule number 11 might be the most revealing and immediately helpful technique you'll learn: the energy audit. This involves walking slowly through your home and paying careful attention to how different items, spaces, and possessions make you feel emotionally and energetically. Do they lift your spirits and energize you, or do they somehow drain and deplete you? This emotional barometer is incredibly accurate for making decisions about what stays and what goes. Items that genuinely energize you might include beautiful artwork that makes you smile every time you see it, books you love having on display, plants that bring life to your space, or tools and supplies for hobbies you actively enjoy. These don't have to be expensive, impressive, or admired by others. They simply need to add positive energy and joy to your daily life. Items that consistently drain your energy become obvious once you start paying attention. Broken things waiting indefinitely for repair create subtle stress and guilt every single time you see them. Clothes that no longer fit properly remind you of disappointments or changes you're not ready to accept. Gifts you never really liked but kept out of obligation carry ongoing guilt and resentment. Projects you started enthusiastically but lost interest in become daily reminders of unfinished business. The energy audit is especially revealing for inherited items and family heirlooms. Some pieces genuinely honor your loved ones and bring warm, comforting memories. These absolutely deserve to be kept and displayed. Others carry complicated emotions, guilt, or simply don't match your personal aesthetic or lifestyle. And it's completely okay to let these find new homes. Honoring someone's memory doesn't require keeping every single thing they owned. Your home should function as your personal sanctuary, a place that consistently restores and inspires you rather than depleting your energy. Rule number 12 is the most emotionally transformational technique you'll discover: the gratitude release ritual. This approach completely changes how you experience the process of letting go of possessions. shifting the focus from loss and sadness to appreciation, completion, and generous blessing. Before releasing any item, especially those with sentimental significance, take a moment to hold it mindfully and express genuine gratitude. Thank your wedding dress for the joy and beauty it brought to your special day. Thank your children's toys for all the laughter, creativity, and happy memories they generated. Thank books for the knowledge, entertainment, or comfort they provided. This isn't silly or overly sentimental. It's a healing practice that honors both the item and your relationship with it. Consciously acknowledge what each possession gave you during its time in your life. Beauty, functionality, comfort, cherished memories, or important lessons learned. Then deliberately give it permission to serve someone else in similar ways. This transforms the act of release from abandonment or waste into a generous blessing and continuation of purpose. For deeply meaningful items, create a small, personal ceremony that feels appropriate and honoring. Light a candle, share a favorite memory aloud, express your gratitude clearly, and then consciously release it with love. Take a photograph if you want to preserve the visual memory without keeping the physical object. This ritual approach honors both the item and your emotional connection to it. The gratitude release. Ritual completely eliminates the guilt that keeps many seniors trapped in overwhelming clutter. You're not being wasteful, disrespectful, or careless with meaningful possessions. You're being grateful, intentional, and generous. You're completing the natural cycle of giving and receiving that makes life meaningful. This practice fundamentally changes the entire decluttering experience. Instead of dreading each session and focusing on loss, you begin to see them as opportunities for gratitude, reflection, and meaningful connection with your life story. The process becomes healing and meaningful rather than painful and overwhelming. The ritual also helps family members understand and respect your decisions when they witness you treating possessions with genuine gratitude and respect while still choosing to let them go. Now I want you to close your eyes and imagine walking into your home 6 months from now, after you've implemented these 12 transformational rules. The very first thing you notice is how easy it is to breathe deeply. There's physical space to move comfortably, mental space to think clearly, and emotional space to simply be present and peaceful. Every single item you see either actively serves your current life or brings you genuine, daily joy. Nothing exists in your space out of guilt, fear, obligation, or outdated ideas about who you should be. Your entire morning routine flows smoothly and effortlessly because everything has a designated, logical place and clear purpose. You can find what you need quickly without searching through layers of clutter or moving things around. Cleaning and maintaining your home takes a fraction of the time because there's simply less to clean around, organize, and manage. Most importantly, you feel completely in control of your environment instead of overwhelmed, embarrassed, or defeated by it. The emotional transformation runs even deeper than the physical changes. You've made genuine peace with your past while creating abundant space for whatever your future holds. The possessions you chose to keep tell the story of a life fully lived and deeply appreciated, while the items you released with gratitude continue creating joy, usefulness, and meaning in their new homes. You've discovered that your worth and identity aren't measured by what you own, but by the love you've shared, the experiences you've treasured, and the positive impact you've made. Family visits become more relaxed and enjoyable because you're not constantly apologizing for clutter, feeling embarrassed about your space, or spending precious time together managing stuff instead of connecting. You can focus completely on relationships and meaningful conversations. If you decide to move in the future, whether by choice or necessity, you're prepared and confident rather than panicked and overwhelmed. Most seniors who complete this comprehensive process describe feeling emotionally lighter, as if a heavy weight they didn't even realize they were carrying has been lifted from their shoulders. They've released the exhausting burden of managing possessions they didn't truly want, need, or love. Before you go, here's my promise to you. If you implement even half of these 12 rules consistently, your relationship with your possessions and your home will transform completely. You'll move from feeling overwhelmed and trapped to feeling empowered and free. You deserve a living space that energizes and supports you rather than exhausting and overwhelming you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we continue building your best possible life after 60. Remember, your best years can absolutely be ahead of you, and it starts with creating the space for them to unfold. Take care, and I'll see you soon.